This is the part 2 of the first week lecture where I'm talking about the introduction and the project setup. In this part, there are two topics, selecting a research topic and formulating a research question. And other one is the ethical considerations in using survey data. So I'm going to be discussed about how to select a research topic and further narrow down towards research questions, particularly when you're using a multiple indicator cluster survey. So selection and the questions for the research is the most important component. And I was thinking to like how to make it more easy and like systematic approach. So I come across two frameworks. First one is PICO is basically the the purpose of this framework was more on health sciences or health interventions where they have a population, intervention, comparison, and outcome. And there are different versions of this framework. And one of the version is where they replace the intervention with the exposure and to make it more acceptable towards the social sciences. So this PICO framework is I'm trying to be use that one how you can see the different parts of this setting a research question and research design is. So I think this is a suitable framework, especially when we have a cross-sectional quantitative data like mix and which has a different areas close to health and social other social sector indicators. For example, child labor, child health, marriage and education, drinking water, intimate partner violence. So there's so many topics over there, which is um, uh, between health and social sector areas. So I'm going to explain you one of the situation where let's suppose you want to think about child labor and some socioeconomic exposure. So let's see how socioeconomic exposure affect the likelihood of child labor occurring in a population. So this is kind of things you start thinking, you want to be think uh, about this question, and I want to see the fit in that framework. So keep in mind in the mixed data, because we have a socioeconomic factors information over there too. We have a child labor data. They have a child labor questions in a different way they're framed, like overall general child labor. Then they have a specific, like they have a hazardous exposure and those kind of things. Just depending on how narrow, how deeply you want to go in that topic, there are some questions which you can use if you're going to be focused on this particular child labor issue. So if you want to apply this framework, so what's the tentative population you will have? So children aged 5 to 14 is usually in that survey. So we have, if you recall, like the 5 to 17 age group data, which is dealing with child labor. So you can use all the full age bracket 5 to 17, or you can specify a certain group just like 5 to 14 I have. And if you want to be narrow down that further population only for one part of right, rural or urban, you have that option too to specify that population. So you need to describe your population in detail, what the information you have in your mind, and the exposure variables like household income and the level of parental education. There are some other variables as well which can be also set as the exposure. So income is usually have the quintiles. So they have five categories where the household could be fall in one of those, to poorest to the richest quintile. So, and the same thing is the parental education is from the no education to the highest level of education, and that could be grouped in a different ways. So when you want to see the comparison, the third component of this framework, now we are talking about the children from households with higher income or educated parents could also involve different geographic regions in that scenario as well. So this is a way you can think how you want to make different kind of comparison between the income levels, education level of the parents, and then if you have any geographic regions, divisions, or district in this case, you can also get those things involved. And the fourth component is basically the outcome. So what the outcome you have, whether the child is engaged in a child labor activities. So this is something, and that variable most likely is the binary. So where the outcome is whether the child is engaged or not. So this is the situation we have. So these are the four components of this framework. You can see how this data and the information from this survey can be aligned. And now you can try to set some questions. For example, the way we have here, how do socioeconomic exposures? So we have two options. We can pick one, or we can do with the both. Affect the likelihood of child labor, which is we know the child is involved in child labor activities, yes or no. And then we define the age and in a particular subgroup of a population if you want to do that. So this is a tentatively, this framework can help you to think the kind of outcome you have in your mind, what population you're going to be engaged in that one, and then you will see the comparison and exposure variables in that case. So there are different areas which you can use and apply this framework to narrow down your research questions and the topic. So in there's another situation, and this slide explain you when you want to be using household level data or household versus and individual level data. So one of the potential topic could be impact of household access to technology on children's education outcome. So this is something you want to see whether these new technology and the trend in the technology and the access to the household, whether it can be converted into an education outcome of those children living in that household. So this example investigates how access to technology basically is within the household affect children's education outcome. So try to fit those four components of this framework. So first we need to be define the population you're going to be defined. So again, we have a different age group of the population. So in this case, we need to select the age group according to the school level. So primary or secondary school level. So you can see what age group is associated, and then you can further define you really want to focus on only rural areas, or you want to be see something on urban areas, or you want to next is like you want to compare between those. So you don't need to be define the subgroup of the population, so you can make it as a comparison group in that case. So exposure is access to household access to technology. So those technologies can be specified because mixed the questions are not overall. So they divided into different components like access to internet, access to those like smartphone or those kind of things. So this is the way then they put the overall things together. And then also, of course, there need to be know about the access to reliable electricity source. So these are the exposure indicators, and comparison could be the children from household with no access to these technologies versus versus children from household with full access to smartphones, internet, and our digital learning tools. So, and the outcome which we can associate it can be different ways. So first you can see the school attendance. So children from technology-enabled households might be more likely to attend school regularly due to a better access to remote learning opportunities or peer communication. So this is something assumption and expected outcome you can set, and academic performance is another way to see the improved academic performance is subjects like maths and readings among children with access to technology. So now in these two examples, you can see how you can use the mixed data, try to be fit into your situation, and that's the framework will help you to clarify the research questions and the research design and such topic you for this paper as well. So this exercise you need to be apply, and then you need to be have one question. So when we will move to the next part of this course, where we need to be discuss about the data and how we will be when we have one question in mind, and then we're going to be analyze the data accordingly. So you can pick any variable or dependent variable, outcome variables, or research questions, but the steps will be the similar approach will be used to analyze the data and the further to develop that results in the form of table, charts, and maps, and then finally interpretation will be in a similar pattern. So it's not I want you to focus something which I am doing it. So you need to take any examples, and then so in this case if you take some example at the end of this course, your paper will be ready for the submission. So at least you can publish some paper. It's not like you're just doing the exercise and at the end of the course you will do everything again. So I would suggest you need to pick some topic of your interest and narrow down the questions where you really think you need to be focused on that. So next, I'm going to be give you a little bit idea how you can use other existing information. So one of the platform is you need to explore a mixed website. They have a lot of publications out there, which you can search through the Google Scholar and other websites and search the keywords mixed data or some other keywords you want to be see like mixed data and health, mixed data and child labor, or mixed data and education. So you can find those combination and see any papers coming out there and read that paper and try to see the last section of the paper where they're talking about what is the next step those researchers are planning to use for the next publication. So those ideas will help you to find a good publishable area of topic and the research questions. So you need to be read some most latest paper, and that you can identify with the help of different sites. You can also explore the different topics through the AI-based learning tools, ChatGPT and other areas. So I know that people have different views. I'm just mentioning this is one of the way. There are so many things you know better than me. I'm just suggesting you need to be when you use any AI-based tools, you need to discuss them. Give something and then ask, like for example, if you want to go to the child labor, ask child labor using different data sets. Then you see what the peoples are doing it, and then see the mix based studies and see the time wise, like 10 years ago and latest, like some publications are based on the millennium development goals data when the goals, and some is based on SDGs. So how the mix is supporting those different goals, and people are publishing the papers on topics and over the time what the things are improving and not. So you need to figure out if some indicator is not improving, so it means you need to explore some different way to identify how you can address these concerns and then give some ideas for the policymakers uh, where they can develop better strategies. So there's a mixed website as well. So they have the resources on the mixed website, which you can explore as well. So on the Mix website, if you see, they have a publication and media section. If you look at that area here, so if you go to the resources on their website, so you can see a number of things. You can search the different topics, and you have a methodological papers. They have some regular publications, manuscripts, and then they have particularly reports and newsletters using multiple indicator cluster surveys. And then, of course, if you want to learn something new, there are videos and webinars. You can search what's available for you to strengthen your understanding and knowledge about this survey. So, for example, there are two papers I just searched. Like this, it's almost 1 year old paper, and when they added, and this one is using 2019 data, basically heavy drinking in men and women. That's a topic they're using, and then second one is the factors associated with childhood stunting. So they are also having a multiple countries data from there. So you can pick the different idea, different papers, and then try to understand which topic you think will be appropriate of the country you are going to be using the data, and then they have a current issues. And if you want to be see further, there is the Global Health Observatory, so where they have a lot of information available on the different thematic areas. So those thematic areas, you can see a huge list of the most thematic areas. You can see which area you want to work, and then you can further narrow down that area and then see what the kind of papers and the issues they have. You need to be try to be research and contribute some scholarly work in that area by using quantitative data analysis approach. So I would suggest like you need to be explored, spend some time on these websites and make your mind which area you want to be focused, and then further use the framework to set the questions, and then you understand what population clearly you're going to be addressed, and those comparison exposures, and finally the outcome you have. So it will help you to narrow down the questions. So hopefully by the end of this course, you can be able to publish some papers. So this video is basically is talking about different sources you can use to set the question. The last part of this week is basically I would just want to be highlight some ethical considerations while you're using any survey data, or particularly when you want to be doing mix as a secondary data. So there are a number of things you need to consider. I don't want to go into the detail of those things, but just want to be highlight these are the areas you need to be seen. So when you register with the UNICEF website, you download the data, so you need to provide the information that you going to be use this data for the research purposes, and if possible, if you have the research question, you can provide at that time. And then you want to be make sure when you're reading the report of the country or the survey you're going to be used, so they have a categorically mentioned the data is collected through the consents, and those follow the all survey rules, which is definitely followed. But if you want to make sure in that categorically mentioned in the report, and then you also will see the privacy related things. So its data is already, it's not giving you the names and like those kind of things, but still if you have any small number which can identify some community, so you have to be very careful and need to be protect the, any identifiable information. And then the data integrity is basically you need to be responsible in reporting. So which is most crucial part is you don't need to be get the results what kind of results you want. So you don't need to be manipulate the data to get the results of your choice. So you need to be respect the data and try to be interpret and stay within the that data like what the data is telling you. So I just want to explain one thing here. Sometimes we think like if you want to establish something which is the negative things, and you want to see some relationship or statistics, which is not showing you the way you're thinking, it means you don't have any positive results, in other words. In my understanding is that situation is more important to report and publish when you are not getting those kind of things, because then you're telling the other researchers by publishing your work, this is the most important piece of information, and you don't need to repeat those kind of things. So you need to be moved to the next level of combination of the things and critical thinking, how you want to be explain that situation. So publishing either way, whether you get the result you want or you get the other way around, but it's, you have to be responsible and ensure the interpretation of the data is accurate as per the data sources. And then also they have a cultural sensitivity, which you need to be take care while you're presenting and interpreting the data, and access and use restrictions. So you need to be follow the policy of the data providers and agreement you when you signed or agreed while you're downloading the data sets. And finally, the ethical approval. If in some case, if your institute require, they you have to get the approval, and either you need a they give a detailed ethics approval or they just give you the waiver, either case. So if you have to be fulfill that process, you have to go for through that. So these are the some set of considerations. There might be some others. I just want to highlight actually there are some ethical consideration which you need to be considered while you are using a scanned data and publishing some paper or your results using a scanned data sources. So this is all about this week. And if you see in the first week, there are 4 topics which I have covered in 2 videos, and part 1 and part 2. And I'm going to record for the next week. So there will be some more detail about the multiple indicator cluster survey, data structuring, which is very important when you're going to be run the analysis. You need to be very much into that data set, so it will help you to run or select the variables you want to be use in that your research idea. And then in the following week, thank you very much for watching videos. So I will appreciate if you have any feedback, because it's kind of experiment I'm doing, like putting those things on my channel. I want to be, if you share your these videos with your colleagues, friends, other students, and so I can get more feedback, and some constructive feedback will be very much I like to hear if how I can improve these recordings and the resources I'm using for this recording. Thank you very much for watching this video.